Nubook 1, From Then to Now, Part 42. We came to her huge palace, that was all a silvery white glow, and brilliant white with shiny golden trim around the entrance, along all the openings. Looking up, I could barely see the top. It was so tall and large. As we went inside, I saw very large paintings on the walls. They were very interesting and held my attention as I stood and looked at every detail. "You painted those, Goldie. You are the artist," she said. As I stood there and looked at them for a moment, I said, "How can that be? I don't recall any of this," I said, wondering about them. "There is the bigger part of you that you are not seeing yet, which will eventually come into view. All of us have so many different areas to our life, and at some point we become totally aware of our real connection and who we really are. The life you have on Earth is so different from who you really are, yet similar, because it is only the tip of the iceberg. The Earth is the testing ground of confusion, to where the real you eventually learns to focus on the true reality, and then is guided to the real universes. By going through the process of elimination, the real you comes out of its unconscious agreement with matter and time, and discovers there is only one way to experiencing what is real, and that is through itself. Your position is not through yet, because there are a lot of souls looking for the real. The guides have a purpose for you, and that is why you have the experiences you do. Your training is very intense, and will continue to be so. The Earth as we know it today is moving into the most rigorous conditioning that it has ever known. You will experience what I am telling you in your next lifetime. Future societies will be of a more mechanical nature than what you are experiencing with your Indian family, and at the same time there will be the opportunity for many more people to discover their true purpose. In the future there will be so many different paths that seem to lead to the true reality, that will be formulated from ancient times and doctrines, but only the real universal guides have the answer. Only they can lead the unaware soul into becoming new and free. Your next life is already laid out for you. You will actually become a follower of a teaching that one of the real guides will be presenting, and over time you will come to realize how it will become corrupt from the transferring of leadership positions, as most of the world's religions and political systems will fall prey to the influence. In those future times, the influence will become a female, because the feminine force will rule the mechanical future of humans. All formulas of the mind eventually become corrupt in the human awareness. They must, because the dualistic forces of cause and effect demand it. You will have many confrontations, as the real guides give you the golden staff of sound and light. Your task will be the hardest, because very few will accept what you are presenting. So many of the new systems that will be coming about will only want followers and their support, as they copy what the belief systems have been doing for eons. You will provide information that will allow each person to have their own individual freedom as much as possible on the earth. Of course, we both know there is no real freedom on the earth, only implied freedoms, and a continued maintenance for the body, and all the things that people want. For now, let's enjoy ourselves, she said. We went into the main part of the palace, the central room, which was very large, and the ceiling was so very high, hundreds of feet high, I would have guessed. There were openings all along the roof, and all I could see was light coming in and moving through everything. There were more awesome-looking paintings along all the walls. You like to do large pictures because of your being and how realized it is with all that is here, she said. I began to laugh a little. This is all so very interesting, I said. I am beginning to like the idea that there is something about me that is greater than I can realize. She smiled and said, as long as there is more to be known and realized, there will always be something better to be. As I was looking around, I began to experience something happening within myself. I wasn't sure what was taking place, but it seemed as though the light from the openings in the roof was affecting me. I stood very still, as I also heard a sound that was so uplifting enter my being, and then begin to vibrate all through me. I was losing contact with myself in a way that is hard to describe, but after a few moments I regained my awareness, but it seemed to be suddenly different. Then I suddenly noticed that the palace had actually gotten bigger, than what I first perceived it to be. I could tell that Shiss was a part of this as she watched. The awareness of yourself is expanding beyond what you now know, Goldie. You are in the true reality, and it is providing for you what you are willing to be, she said with her lovely voice. Then something unexpected began to appear. It was as though a part of the wall disappeared, and all that I could see was the light. Suddenly there was a being of such radiance that I could hardly look at him. He gradually appeared from the light right in front of me. I looked at him very closely, as he stood there, as brilliant as he could be. He was radiating so much that it was hard at first to make out his outline and features. I had the feeling I knew who he was, but I was hesitant to consciously bring forth the confirmation. You have always had a hard time seeing yourself, Goldie, but now you are face to face with who you are, said Shiss. She was right. I really never could see myself, even with all the experience I've had. I knew within myself that I was the light of life, but to totally accept it was something I avoided. There is a part of me that has always felt that I was not really worthy, but that it was the adventure and the real value from the experience that I was after. It is like a child's dream that I live, and want it to be so, but at the same time, living in the physical body, where there is very little light, it is hard to totally accept the dream, and how I wanted it to be. This is the real you, Goldie, the beautiful, radiant reality that you have become in your own trueness and real awareness, because of the dreams you have dreamt that you thought were only something you imagined. It is true that the physical life is hard, but it is your defined reality that has kept you going and provided a way for you. You took the risk a long time ago and decided to go after something very few will attempt or even realize could be possible. Most people do not even consider anything past their own personal life. To them, all real heroes are but a fantasy, but you know deep in your heart what is real. You are looking at the end result of what you have decided yourself to be. What you are seeing is only the beginning. There is still so much more to decide. Like all of us, you need assistance to be objective about yourself, because of how you are. You are not like the common man, who only wants things for his emotional life. You are willing to risk your life to discover what else is possible. You will never be content being an Earth person. That is why your life on Earth will always encounter the turmoil that it does. Look at yourself. You are magnificent, she said. The radiant being that was standing before me suddenly began to grow, as the sound and the light came more to life within me and all around. He became so much larger, and as he did, so did the entire room and the whole palace. It seemed to be only a matter of moments before he and the palace were beyond something that I would consider being enormous. I felt like an ant in a universe with something that was far beyond what I could understand. The light and sound began to swirl around the huge figure that I was staring at. He was now far beyond thousands of feet high. From where I stood, I could not calculate the size of him. You see, Goldie, you will have to be very big to accomplish what you have to in the future of the Earth and the adventure you will be living. From where you are now in time and space with your body life, the future will seem and be so much more enormous as the lower consciousness evolves in the creative realms, she said. The light and sound moved in and out of me, and I could feel the change that was taking place. It was the true aliveness of the ears. I felt a love for all of life that I had never felt or known before. I knew I already had no personal life at all, but now it was even more so, because I was a part of everything now. I was experiencing a radical indifference to all that mattered to me, according to the life that I once knew. There was a stage of freedom that was happening to me as I was being in this very moment. It was a wonderful expansion for me to recognize this reality, and how it is so intense on providing this benefit. It seemed as though every atom of my being was vibrating with the caring for what is real and nothing else. This was something I always wanted, and that was for me to be this true reality, where it was all automatic, without the personal effort of trying to bring it into my life. I also had the sense that what was to take place with my personal life would not be like it is on this level, because of how the Earth is. Everything that is so wonderfully pure cannot be found anywhere but here and now. I was gaining a remarkable awareness and strength as the experience proceeded. I could see how those on the Earth were caught up in the illusions, that had been fabricated over the idea of time and the manipulation of space, that had become a standard amongst the minds of so many. Most of the Earth people are caught up in a planned deception, even by those who profess to be holy. Through this real journey, all was being revealed to me, because I was the willing subject for life to test my very being. I was in the pure reality, the best of all positions, and the Earth people were lost and confused with the darkened side, and how it constantly presented itself to them. This is what was being shown to me. My purpose would be to present a reference to the true reality in the terms the people of Earth could understand. Even then, I would have the hardest time relating the simplest of things. All this and so much more was becoming an apparent realization. I stood there, trying to maintain my position of awareness. Teaching about the true reality is not hard, or even hard to understand, but each person must be prepared for it accordingly. What is hard is getting past all the preconceived notions and ideas that people have about what they have come to know. They can have their old ideas, and at the same time gain new insights into themselves, and then graduate into greater areas of survival. I could see the Earth people were at the bottom of the receiving line, and that I was now at the top, and there would be more levels to explore after this one. The appointed authoritarians have ruled the minds of the unaware, so that their hearts are forgotten in a sea of regulatory drudgery. Brutality has changed its face, from the barbaric days to the present modern-day deceptive ploy of psychological submission. Those people who do take the time to weigh the ideas and consider them soon find out that what the real guides are presenting really does make sense. Life does exist on different levels hidden within ourselves, and there is no end to them. As we become more aware of these different levels and the possibilities they contain, we begin to realize we will live forever and continue going through an endless journey into the forever nowness life is. I looked directly into the eyes of the giant figure, as he was staring right at me. He was so beautifully poised and benevolent in his mannerism. His eyes were like the ocean, a blue-green colour that had so much light and sincerity in them.